What's good, everybody? It's your boy Breezy. It's Bears week. It's week 1 in the NFL, and the 49ers are traveling to Chicago. Man, it's going to be a crazy ride. Stick around because on this episode, we're going to be talking about just that. The latest in 49ers moves as far as who they signed to their practice squad. We got to talk a little bit about the Bears. And we're going to have a special guest right here on this show. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Let's go. Welcome to the WayneBreezie Show.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Breezy this, breezy that. They know I'm gold-blooded, I got the Niners on my back, you know. Breezy this, breezy that. Ain't nobody working like Breezy, and that's a fact. Overmotivated is an understatement. Gold-blooded to the core, got your squad hating. Breezy make it look easy. Breezy on everything like 05, 06, 7 Weezy. This is not a gang. Yeah, we faithful in every way. And even though we on the East Coast, very loyal to the Bay. Heavy red and gold every day. And if you really a Niner fan, I know you can relate. Applying pressure with this content like Smaller Bear. We not accepting no slander about Trey, so beware. I stay in exclusively Niner hats. And I always tell the truth, this exclusively Niner facts. Breezy this, breezy that. They know I'm gold-blooded, I got the Niners on my back, you know. Yeah, Breezy this.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Breezy. Listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in on this special holiday. It's Labor Day, and you guys are here laboring with your boy Breezy, man. So I'm going to sit here and provide you with some great content. I promise I'm going to keep you for an hour only. Here's why, though. There's always a stipulation. I got a new camera. I'm rocking with a new camera. It runs on a battery, and I think the battery time is about 50 minutes. So we're going to hit you hard with 50 minutes of 49ers content right here on the WayneBreezie Show. First off, I want to give you guys a round of applause. You know how we do, man. Listen, you guys are here, man. You guys are making this dream of mine come true, and you're a part of that dream. And I just wanted to say that I appreciate you. You feel me? So shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the members out there. Let's show some of the members some love. Raphael 562, man. He's just showing some love. What's good to you, man? Good morning. Thank you so much for being a member of the channel. We got some more. Lake City Fresh is in the building. What's going on, man? Shout out to the members that are tuned in, man. I appreciate your contributions every month, man. And thank you so much. So I just wanted to give you your flowers while you're here. Salute to everybody else out there. I see Paul over from across the bay. Chrissy's in the building. Chrissy's 1687. I remember when I couldn't figure out what your name meant, but I'm glad that I know what it means now. We got Joe Montana, Dwight Clark. So thank you so much. Yes, Breezy this, Breezy that. All right, so let's get to the formalities of the show because I don't want to sit here and talk forever because you know I can. So first of all, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe right there below, youtube.com/WayneBreezie. We got to get this channel to 5K as soon as possible. Hopefully once the season kicks off, the subscribers will go up, but I truly appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that like button. And you already know why it's important. It's because it boosts the show up, in the algorithm of YouTube. And we want this to be one of the top 49ers content shows with some of your other favorite shows out there. So like, comment, and subscribe. The link is right there below. You also can become a member, and there's instructions on how to become a member right there on the channel. Don't forget to follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/WayneBreezie. We're streaming live there as well as possible. The Madden League is up and created, and the draft is about to go down. I believe we have almost, I wanted 10 to 12 teams. I believe it's pretty much full. And then we're going to go ahead and do that fantasy draft. Is going to be crazy because we're going to be streaming live, and you're going to watch some of your favorite 49er family, play Madden live right here, especially when they go against me. So only when they go against me, I'm going to be going live. It's going to be crazy because I'm probably going to get my tail whipped a lot. All right. Don't forget to join the Patreon. I have a new video up there on Patreon where I broke down the final 53. Shout out to everybody on the Patreon. Thank you so much for being patrons throughout this off season. I truly appreciate your love and your support. But go to patreon.com/WayneBreezie. Twitter, follow, right there at WayneBreezie, and you also can become a super follower. And what do I do for the super followers? Every month, every first of the month, to be exact, we do a giveaway, right? We do a random giveaway. Right now, we currently have 9 super followers. I'm looking to get 25 super followers. I get 25 super followers. Someone is going to win a signed JSA Elijah Mitchell jersey. So if you want that jersey, all you got to do is become a super follower. Tell a friend to tell a friend to become a super follower. Don't forget to follow right here below on Instagram. That's WayneBreezie too. Somebody asked me, well, where's WayneBreezie? You already know what happened to that channel. Go back and watch some of the older episodes and it'll tell you exactly what happened to WayneBreezie. Go to the website, www.tubeben.com. You can email me for any concerns, anything you want to talk about in private or whatever, off the air, man. Go ahead and shoot me an email. It's WayneBreezie@tubeben.com. And for the latest in 49ers news, you can go to 49erswebzone.com right there. Bang, man. I got to give myself Price is Right check, man, because going through those formalities takes a minute, all right? And last but not least, you know I'm rocking the fresh residency cap. You can go to residency.com. I do apologize for that. All right, www.residency.com is right there below on the screen. And go ahead and use the promo code SFBreezy and you'll save on your purchase. All right, man, look, I'm headed out to Chicago this weekend. All right. If you guys don't know, you go to 49ersrushroadtrip.com. John Chapman and I, we're going to be hosting a crazy party all weekend long. It's going to be like a bunch of parties, 49ers based, all weekend long. And then we're going to be right there at the game where we're going to we're just going to take over Chicago. We're going to take over Chicago. Throw the thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to take over Chi-Town. Let's go. My thumb is up. Your thumb is up. I see the thumbs coming up, yo. We're taking over Chicago. I'm telling you right now. And there's a bunch of reasons why. Because Chicago right now is in the news and they're throwing a lot of smoke. A lot of smoke. All right. Lots of smoke. All right. First things first, I want to talk about 49ers roster moves. They made a couple of new moves, right? So the 49ers currently had 14 players signed to their practice squad, right? 53-man squad is filled. If you need more information on that, go to the Patreon. I did a final breakdown on that. I broke down the injuries. I broke down the NFI. I broke down the 53-man, and I also broke down the practice squad. Now, we just today signed another practice squad player. His name is Buddy Johnson. This is per Aaron Wilson. All right. So we were able to sign another linebacker. What's the deal with the 49ers signing these linebackers? Linebackers and offensive linemen. Do you think, let me ask you a question. Do you guys think there's a weak link in the linebacker room, or do you just want guys on there to develop? Now, this guy's going to be a veteran. He's coming in there. Let's kind of put up Buddy Johnson's stats real quick as I get the banner going to streamline. So if you guys don't know, we definitely signed 2 guys to the practice squad over the weekend. Buddy Johnson, an offensive lineman / I don't care what y'all say. He was born a tight end. He's going to always be a tight end, even though he's been converted to the offensive line. Leroy Watson, all right, not related to Randy Watson, but Leroy Watson. I've been talking to his father this past weekend, and hopefully some big things are going to happen for this young fellow. So we just want to send him a shout out. Guys, if I'm missing the comments and things like that, I do apologize. I see Troy is in here. Mariah's in here. What's going on, man? Shout out to you guys, man. I appreciate it. Hurricane is in the building. Everybody's in the building, and I truly love it. If I missed anything, my apologies. I am focused on this camera right here. All right, let's do that. Melissa wants me to shout out Miss Deb raffle. She has 65 spots open to buy. Now listen, Miss Debbie is raffling off these Swarovski crystal helmets. They customize helmets where she sits and puts these helmets together. She buys the mini helmets, the replica helmets, and whatnot. And she sits there and hand places these crystals on there. Guys, I want you guys to enter this raffle. All right. Make sure you guys go ahead and do that. If you need more information, shoot me an email, or you can hit up Miss Debbie right on her Twitter. You could DM her, whatever, whatnot. If you need more information on it, go ahead and send it to me and I'll get it to her. All right. So we'll go ahead and do it like that. Oh man, I see you guys got questions out there. Paul's asking me what's my bold prediction. Say that for the end of the show. Troy, I see you finally got Madden. I love it. So let's go ahead and break down. We got Leroy Watson. You guys, he's an offensive lineman. He's been converted. Didn't play much, but he was on the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? And I saw his father sent me a nice clip. Actually, put it on my Twitter. Sent me a nice clip. You know what I'm saying? And it was pretty good. Now he was on the left side, and I feel like the left side is pretty secure. The question is though, which of our 49ers offensive linemen can play on the right side? I feel like that's where they're struggling. All right, that's where they're struggling. And I can see Jaguayo 56. Thank you for the contribution. He says, I'm worried the most about the O-line. Yeah, like I think everybody's worried the most about the O-line. I think that's what it is. Like I think you know, it's not the most solidified piece. You get what I'm saying? And it's kind of Let me just explain why I'm less worried than most people. I really do believe Trent Williams is the anchor, but we all know how that can work out, right? We all know that one guy can't overcompensate for four other players, right? And we lost some key people on the offensive line. And because you lost some key people on the offensive line, you know, Laken Tomlinson, Daniel Brunskill, which were two key pieces you had to insert. We're inserting some second-year players. We have a rookie there. Listen, speaking of rookie, Spencer Burford, I'm all for him starting on this offensive line. But if Daniel Brunskill is healthy, I can see Spencer Burford not starting on the offensive line. It's just the way it goes. All right. If you guys agree with me, put the thumbs up. If you disagree with me, put the thumbs down. All right. Now we got our special guest. He's going to be coming on the show very shortly. But Breezie, you said you're worried about the offensive line, Jaguayo, and I can totally understand this. You know what I'm saying? Listen, don't be worried. Give them time to gel. That's all I'm going to say. Give them time to gel. Let this Chicago game be the time where they get these penalties, these silly penalties out. Let them get time to gel. And I think once you start to see them gel and they start to learn each other's like mannerisms and the way you move and get that communication down pat, you're going to see a pretty much solidified offensive line. Know one thing, Kyle Shanahan doesn't spend money on offensive linemen except for Trent Williams. He will sit there and go grab a couple of key pieces. But I think if he feels like he has the pieces in the building, like if he's not worried, I wouldn't worry. Why are we adding more offensive linemen, though, to the practice squad? Because you want to continue to get your guys to develop. All right, so real, let me know when you're ready. Give me the thumbs up. I'll bring you in, my brother. All right, man, all the way from the other side of the country. It's early in the morning over there. We're going to bring in my man, So Real. Let's get the round of applause going. What's good, baby?
What up, baby boy? You know, it's out here. It's hot, bro. I don't know if you've been hearing about this heat wave in Cali, but it's no bueno.
No bueno. It's hot out there. It's finally cooling down over here on the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good thing. Listen, we're talking about the couple of roster moves that the 49ers just made. As you can see on the bottom, they signed linebacker Buddy Johnson. They also signed offensive lineman / tight end. I don't care what you say. You can catch the ball. Leroy Watson. All right. And so that's, they got two other people on the practice squad. They currently have, I want to say they have two spots still available because I don't think you count Alfredo Gutierrez to one of those spots. I don't know if he counts because I'm sure the rule says he doesn't. So I don't know if they're able to stash one more player in the practice squad. What are your thoughts just on these two guys being added to the practice squad? What do they provide for the San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah, to be honest, Wayne, I don't know too much about their game. To be honest, the practice squad is there for guys that they're looking to develop and guys that possibly could be depth in case, God forbid, there's some major injuries towards a certain group. I personally like the practice squad that the 49ers have put together. Guys like Jason Poe, who I think, if there's some injuries, could definitely be moved up to the 53-man roster. The linebacker that was able to make it through wires, and they added McCray. I think he was a good pick. And then, they got some guys there, Will Fuller and stuff, some veterans there that can play a role just in case they need them. But at the end of the day, I think it's just developmental. Anytime they pick a linebacker, I don't know much about Buddy Johnson, but I do know the 49ers do an amazing job developing linebackers off of that practice squad, guys that are undrafted, guys that aren't that are like thrown away from other teams that they're able to bring in and kind of develop into a 49er, linebacker. So whoever Buddy Johnson is, I'm sure he's happy to be part of this structure, part of this team. As far as offensive linemen, I mean, I just heard what you were talking about as far as, is this a sign that the 49ers are not secure with their offensive line? I'm with you. I think that they believe in the offensive line that they have right now. It's just like a lot of other positions on this team. It's very young. So with young players, it's going to be a learning curve. But I think it's Bill Belichick that says he doesn't really judge his team till week 6 is like when he's really seeing if he has a team or he doesn't, right? So I think we should be looking at it the same way, week 4 to 6. I know we have, pretty tough after the first 2 weeks, a pretty tough, 4-game stretch before the bye week. But by the bye week, we should really know what we have in this team. And I'm with you, man. I think the offensive line will be fine just because I think Kyle Shanahan will scheme towards wherever his strengths are, and he masks his weaknesses very well. So I don't see a reason why he wouldn't do the same thing if the offensive line isn't as strong as he believes it is.
That's cool because and the crazy thing is, bro, I don't even think the offensive line, even though it appears to be like the weakest link out of all the rooms, I don't think it's the weakest link. I still think it's pretty strong. I think it's pretty solid. I think the first thing and foremost, the thing you want the offensive line to do is be able to run block. And I don't think there's going to be a problem with run blocking with this offensive line. And offensive linemen, when they get successful runs without holding penalties, that amps up their pass blocking just a little bit. And so if Kyle Shanahan stays ahead of the chains like he's supposed to, then you don't have to necessarily worry about that pass rush, which helps the offensive line, right? And so when you talk about scheme and things like that, Kyle Shanahan's going to plan to run the ball, and he's telling us that by the type of running backs that he has on his team. So I think the offensive line, like you said, isn't going to be it's going to have its ups and downs, but like you said, let's not evaluate those guys until after they get a nice, solid set of game film to where you can sit there and be like, okay, this guy's still not getting it. It's week 6. We got to figure this out. Now we got to do something, right? And so, guys, pump your brakes. It's gonna be a ride, all right? It's gonna be a ride. It's not gonna be a smooth ride, but it's gonna be a ride. And I think as the offensive line, like Surreal just said, gets a little bit better, like as the season progresses, I think the offensive line is gonna gel and it's gonna get better. So those are our new roster spots, right? And then we brought Buddy. Got to talk a little bit about Buddy Johnson, all right? These guys were drafted. Buddy Johnson was drafted in 2021. He's from Texas A&M, all right? He played for the Aggies. I think that's John's team, if I'm not mistaken. John Chapman's team. I could be wrong. He could be a Longhorn, so I can't remember. But he was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a 4th round pick, pick 141. Doesn't have any stats as far as tackles and assists for the 2021 season. He didn't play much, but I tell you what, man, he's a guy. Name one position, so real, you feel the 49ers know how to develop?
There's 2, man, linebacker and running back. Those are the 2 positions, right?
They both end with a B.
and to be honest, Wayne, the fact that he was drafted by the Steelers and they used a 4th rounder on him, that's another organization that does really well with their linebackers. So the fact that they scouted him, they brought him in using a 4th round pick, I should say, that means that this kid has some game. He just needs probably some development, and the 49ers are a great organization to develop that position.
Yeah, I agree, man. So, guys, those are the roster spots. I think him coming in here. Now, the 49ers also have Curtis Robinson on the IR, who they're going to get back, and they're going to have to make a decision on Curtis Robinson because on the practice squad is my guy, Marcelino McCrary-Ball, who reports said that if something was to happen, he'd be the first guy to be called off that practice squad if something's to happen to one of the linebackers. So I'm excited to see this kid play, but I want to see what Buddy Johnson could come in here and do. Can he get acclimated to the game? He's going to be on the practice squad with Marcelino McCrary-Ball, and there you have it, guys. So the practice squad is almost filled. Technically is one spot because the numbers say they're at 15. They got one more spot, but if you break down the Alfredo Gutierrez He doesn't count against the spot, so they should have 2 more spots that they can be vacant. One question to you about the practice squad. I don't know if you have the list in front of you. I don't know if you could pull it up real quick. If not, I'll go ahead and get it. But they have 0 running backs on the practice squad. Any concerns about that?
I mean, I think that I think obviously they were trying to see if Trey Sermon would make it through waivers and probably throw him on the practice squad if he was going to be able to do that. I'm not too worried because at the end of the day, like you said, there's too many. There's 2 more spots that they need to fill. I would assume one of those spots at least goes to a running back, if not both of those spots. But the benefit that the 49ers have right now is their running back room is so young, right? They have 2 rookies, a second-year player, and Jeff Wilson Jr., right? So I think that there are at least some young bodies, hopefully, that are less likely to be injured. But yeah, you would like to see them bring some guys in, and they're probably just scouting, seeing who fits their mold. And there are some guys out there that are veterans that maybe they could bring on, or maybe they go through the undrafted pool and try to pick some people. But I'm sure before, here pretty soon, you'll see some running backs join that practice squad.
And there you have it, man. All right. So this is the 6th year of the International Players Pathway Program. All right. And someone asked, why doesn't Alfredo Gutierrez count against the roster spot? And if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to do more research. I'm not trying to do the research while I'm on the show because I'm just trying to keep my eyes. I was told
I got it right here.
Okay.
So Gutierrez is in the NFL International Pathway Program, meaning technically he doesn't take up a spot on the practice squad. He's extra.
He's extra. So every team, so not just the 49ers, but if you're a team that participates in this program and you get yourself one of the international type of players, then they will not take up a roster spot, Gabriel. That's why he does not count. So like I said, the 49ers technically still have 2 practice squad spots available, which is important. Now, like So Real said earlier, he loves the practice squad. I remember Peachy putting out a tweet saying how much she loved the practice squad. You know why we love the practice squad so much, bro? Because all of the players that we wanted to make the roster are on the practice squad. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The fact that Kamiko Toure is on there, Malik Turner.
Exactly.
Those are 2 guys. McCrary Ball was a guy that I was hoping that would make the team. There's a lot of guys on there that we thought could make the roster. And so when your practice squad has guys that you thought would be roster players, that means you have a very good practice squad.
There it is.
The 49ers able to pull it off.
And there it is. And the cool thing about the practice squad is they have the depth, right? Because we talked about that at the very beginning of the offseason. We said the 49ers have greater depth than most teams. And what we meant by that was not the number, but the quality of the player, right? That's where that word greater comes in. So they have that greater depth. They have players that you felt like, oh, snap, they should have made this roster, or they should have made another roster. And luckily, Kyle found a way to keep guys under that radar, and they were able to go back and snatch them up. Not all the guys made it. Like you said, Trey Sermon didn't make it. And I guarantee you, when they signed offensive linemen, when they claimed him off of waivers, Blake Hance, to the 49ers, and they had to release a player, I guarantee you they didn't want to release Trey Sermon, bro. I think they did it thinking he had a bad camp, blah, blah, blah. He'll clear waivers, and then the Eagles went and picked him up.
Right. Eagles love looking at the 49ers roster and picking up whoever they don't have. It's and 49ers likewise, right? Ridgeway was most recently on the Eagles. So I think that those 2 organizations kind of are eyeing each other's rosters back and forth.
I love it. I love it a lot. All right, guys, we got to get to this next topic. All right. So what's going down in Bears land, Bears country, the players from the Bears, some of the players, not all of them, they're coming out and they're having their way with some words in some of their interviews. And we're going to talk about wide receiver Darnell Mooney. Now, Darnell Mooney, for me, I went back and watched last year's game. He was like a thorn. He was a little guy that found ways to get open, whether it was in the slot, whether it was, down the seam. He just found ways. And you can tell Justin Fields was going to target him. And here's the thing, I've been reading about their connection. And you know how we love the Brandon Ayuk, the Trey Lance connection? Well,
Right.
that's what Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields have over in Chicago. All right. Now, I want to talk about a Darnell Mooney. Before we do that, though, let me get to a couple of these comments. I want to shout out, first time, he's going to get this. Whenever we get a new subscriber to the channel, bro, they're going to get that touchdown San Francisco from the one and only Papa, man. Jeremy Denton, thank you so much for tuning in. First of your live videos, joining from the John Chapman Show. Follower. Appreciate you, Jeremy. And then we're going to talk about this. So what we're going to do is we're going to tack on this after we talk about the Darnell Mooney, because we're going to talk about our secondary in a little bit. All right. So Jaguar, hang in there. Thank you for the contribution. We appreciate you, family. All right. So let's get to this Darnell Mooney thing. Did you get a chance to read or hear? Did you even hear about what he said?
Yeah, I heard about it. What I heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that Justin Fields is going to make the 49ers regret passing him up.
Okay. So
is that pretty much what he said?
That's it. That's it right there. So we're going to talk about that, and let's spend a little bit of time. I'm sure people are going to want to comment on that. I'll put that as a ticker at the bottom. Darnell Mooney comment from the Bears. All right. So he says he's going to make the 49ers, regret for passing on Justin Fields. In other words, he's going to make the 49ers regret for drafting Trey Lance. I wish that's what he would have said. Stop being a bitch and come out and say exactly what you want, Darnell, Mr. Mooney, because we got the big Mooney on our squad. You're just a Darnell Mooney. We got the big Mooney. All right, so let's talk about that. All right.
Yeah.
I need to know. Just give it to me raw, baby. Pause.
So I thought this was just a silly comment. And the reason why I think it's silly, Wayne, is like you said, Mooney and Fields are building a really great relationship over there. So if the 49ers selected Fields, he wouldn't be the quarterback for Mooney right now. So like, what exactly are you saying? Like, if the 49ers picked Fields, you would not have any relationship with Justin Fields right now. So I just thought it was, I thought if I'm making this statement, I'm be like, thank you 49ers for not selecting Justin Fields, because you passed up on a really good quarterback or something like that. All of this regret and all that kind of stuff, I just thought it was a silly way of doing it. But yeah, I mean, look, am I mad at it? Nah, like at the end of the day, you want, with how the Chicago Bears organization is as far as what they've given in support to Justin Fields, which is very little. I mean, just to prep for this show, I went and looked at the Chicago Bears depth chart, and Wayne, to say that I couldn't recognize a lot of those players, like it's tough. You know what I mean? The Bears aren't favored in many games for a reason, right? And that's not Justin Fields' fault. Like, he's not the GM. He can't sit here and pick who is playing. But to have a guy on your squad like Mooney that even though maybe the records won't play it, or just the stats and whatnot, because who is he throwing to have somebody in your corner that's out there fighting the fight for you, I think that's what you're supposed to do as a teammate. That's what you're supposed to do. So do I think the 49ers are going to regret not drafting Justin Fields? I was high on Justin Fields. I actually wanted them to draft him. It was between him and Trey Lance. For me, they ended up going with Trey, which is great. But I think Justin Fields is a good player. I think he's going to do good in the league. I'm sure he regrets the 49ers didn't pick him, because he'd be much happier in what the 49ers have around him versus what he has around him. But at the end of the day, the 49ers chose who they chose. And I don't think week 1 is going to be a regretful game for the 49ers. Let's just put it that way.
When I read this, Of course, I clicked on the article. I wanted to make sure I understood where he was coming from, and it makes sense. Usually, like, these are what we call, like, those games where, how they say, like, if you had a player, if you're supposed to get a player, you don't want to play that player because they're going to play a little bit different. It's the
Right.
same feeling we felt like Jimmy just playing in Chicago. He better bring his A game, right? Which, he had his D game until, the second half, and then his A game came, and I guess he averaged out to like a B quarterback or something like that at the end of the game. But, like, Justin Fields needs to just focus on one thing. Don't worry about this team not drafting. You better figure out how you're going to create plays. Justin Fields has to be the best player out there on the field, and he has to be better than all 22 of the 49er players, starters. He has to be better than all of them. And I just don't think he's going to be able to do that. I like Darnell Mooney. I think Darnell Mooney's a cool wide receiver. Not a number one, but he's clearly their number one. They lost their number one. Allen Robinson is now with the Rams, all right? So let's just keep it a buck. He's gone, and he didn't do anything in the last time they played the San Francisco 49ers, and that's when we had freaking Josh Norman out there on the field playing quarterback. So you mean to tell me Justin Fields is going to do his best to make the 49ers pay because they didn't draft him over Trey Lance? Let me just give Justin Fields a little thing, right? This is what I have for Justin Fields. They never wanted to draft you. They brought you in out of respect, bro. Like, they needed to get some film and dig on you and just to see, right? So they brought you in. They did a workout. They went to your school and they watched you work out. And this is not a shot at him. It's just that he already had his mindset on who he wanted. Justin Fields didn't fit the typical mold that Kyle Shanahan was looking for a quarterback. And that's why he was passed on. Now, Justin Fields, you better go out there and make this like the best film you put on tape week one. And I just don't see how, because we didn't even talk about the 49ers defense. And Darnell Mooney, let me just keep it a buck, bro. You were defended by Mosley and Josh Norman in that game. Now you're going to be defended by Big Mooney. He doesn't want you to call him Little Mooney anymore. He wants you to call him Big Mooney. That's why we call C. Ward Big Mooney. That's what he said in the interview, and that's what we're going to call him. Big Mooney's going to be out there. Emmanuel Mosley's going to be out there, all right? And then you got them safeties over the middle. Look, look, all right, here we go. Darnell Mooney, he had 9 targets, 6 receptions, 64 yards.
Not a bad game.
Not a bad game. Not a bad game, and that's eating up the underneath routes. Did I mention a guy from the 49ers named Samuel Womack III, though? I didn't mention him yet, did I? And so I'm just saying, this kid, I like Mooney. I think their connection is going to be dope. And I'm not mad at him for sticking up for his quarterback. Let me keep that.
You got to have that confidence, right? You got to have that confidence. That delusional confidence.
Did you just say it was delusional confidence? I love it.
Absolutely, man. Because you mentioned all of these guys on the defense without even mentioning the strength of our defense, which is that defensive line, right? There's still a guy out there called Nick Bosa that is looking like Captain America after he went into the little thing and made his body all big. You know what I mean? Nick Bosa looks like that, just basic, right? And
I'm trying to figure out like how they even did that in the movie. Like, it was the same actor, right? Chris Evans, right?
I think the previous the scrawny Chris Evans wasn't his body. That was like CGI. Or
that's some good. That's some great work, cameras. Yeah. That's some great work, man. That's some great work. All right, go ahead. My bad. Carry on.
But I'm just saying, like, look, we got Nick Bosa, Art Armstead, a very motivated and also looking like a superhero in Kinlaw. And then, you know what, whoever is going to be on the outside, whether it's Ebicom, whether it's Drake Jackson, whether it's, Amenahu, Justin Fields is going to be running for his life. Let's just put it honestly. And, this is going to be a test for the 49ers because the one Achilles heel for the 49ers, Wayne, we've always seen is a mobile quarterback, right? And Justin Fields is that. And we saw him even in the game last year. He did beat us with his legs on a few plays. So it's not going to be this game where like the 49ers there's no threats to the 49ers. Justin Fields is a threat. He is a weapon with his legs and his arm They do have Montgomery there, who's a very solid running back. That's about it, though. So I mean, it's going to be a very one-dimensional type of offense for the Bears. I think the 49ers will do fine with it, but all your points hold true, right? The defensive line are healthy and active and deep. That linebackers are all healthy, right? We go 4 deep there. We have the best cornerbacks the 49ers have ever had in the Kyle Shanahan era. And, the safeties, even though that might be the weakest part of the defense. And, you have to go through 3 layers before you get to them. So, I don't know. I think it's just trying to give them something to be excited about, right? Chicago needs to be excited about something.
I love it. And we got a contribution from Gammon Brown. He says, Fields wants revenge. I want to win the lottery. I think we all want to win the lottery. It's funny. The other day I was watching some people outside of a convenience store scratching off lottery tickets, and it's nothing wrong. I'm not judging them. It's just weird. Like how, like, I've never done it. Like, so I don't want to do it either because I don't want it to become some type of crazy addiction, because what it is when you win one, you think you can win them all. I just rather just do sports. If I'm a bet, it's just gonna be sports. But It was just weird to me just seeing like they just went out, scratched lottery tickets. I went somewhere, came back. They went out and got some more, came back. I'm like, wow, man, it's a game. It's a game. Right. It's a game. I'm with you. I want to win the lottery. I think we all do. And then we can sit here and buy our own football team. You know what I'm saying? Sort of, kind of, something like that. But look, I want to talk about Justin Fields a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and recap and end the show on some Jimmy Garoppolo talk. All right. So Justin Fields, we talked about how well he did. You talked about him. Is this going to be some type of revenge game? That's why I put this comment up there. Thank you for the contribution too, bro. Is this going to be some type of revenge game? You talked about the defense. We talked about the defensive line and things like that. Let's talk about the safeties room before we break down some of this Justin Fields revenge game. Jaguar had a contribution. Thoughts on the lack of depth at the safety room? 49ers have 3 safeties on their active roster. All right. They have Talanoa Hufanga, Tarvarius Moore, and George Odom. Jimmy Ward's on the IR for 4 weeks. And they signed Tashawn Gibson and Taylor Hawkins to the practice squad. My theory is I think one of those guys might be called up to dress. What are your thoughts on the lack of depth of the safety room?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, this is the weakest part of the 49ers defense. I wonder, I remember a nitty-gritty episode where you guys were doing your 53-man rosters way before, we knew you thought what the starters were going to be. And you guys were mentioning nickel dime quarter packages. I wonder if maybe they throw out more of the DBs and in the first few games. And if they don't feel like, if they end up losing one of those safeties and whatnot, I don't know if they're going to change around what they actually do because they have so many corners on the team. But I think it's going to be Hufanga and Odin to start out. As far as the starters, hopefully they could stay healthy for 2 games, and then, or I guess it's 4 games now, right? So for 4 games, if they could just hold the fort down, and then when Ward comes back, I mean, the name out there that everybody's been talking about is just Kwaski Tart, but he hasn't been signed yet. So I don't know if he came in, I think everybody's much more comfortable with that safety room. But the fact that they haven't made a move there yet, I don't know if that means he's not coming in. But yeah, I mean, it is a question mark, Wayne. I can't sit there and be like, I'm super confident because, when you got 3 guys there, 1 injury, now all of a sudden you have no backups, right? So it is something to pay attention to. Obviously, Jimmy Ward is the only one that's elite out of that group. But this gives an opportunity for these guys to get experience, get some meaningful playing time there. And throughout the season, that's going to bode well because, Jimmy Ward is somebody that has had a history of injuries. Luckily, the last 2 seasons, he's been able to shore that up. But the fact that he has this injury now, I'm glad they're being conservative with it because hopefully he's not in and out of the lineup. But if he is, these games for Odin, for Moore, are going to be important that they get some playing time because maybe we're going to need them in the future if Jimmy Ward is in and out of the lineup.
Now you mentioned that they might go with more DBs and things like that. So you say DBs, we're talking safeties and cornerbacks. So there's a possibility.
I meant more corners.
We meant corners, right? But here's the thing. I have to look at their depth chart. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. I think personally go with more defensive linemen, and main reason is because what we said. We're talking about Justin Fields now. We're talking about how Justin Fields is he's elusive.
Right.
If a play breaks down, he's more acceptable to take off and run, opposed to trying to get that ball out of his hand, looking for that throw, waiting for a guy to get open, because he just may lack the talent of the guys getting open, right? He might look here's their depth chart. All right. You didn't mention the receivers. I'm going to do it. Darnell Mooney's their number one. Right. Equanimeous St. Brown is the backup. N'Keal Harry is on the IR. Taji Sharp on the IR. David Moore on the IR. Byron Pringle, Velus Jones. If they come out with 3 wide receiver sets, I would say they got speed. That's all it is speed. And I would say Darnell has speed and shiftiness. Dante Pettis is backing up one of those guys. I'm more concerned about Cole Kmet than I am any of their wide receivers. I think they go more big nickel in this particular game because of Kmet. And did they have Jesse James still? No, they don't have Jesse James. Jesse James was a factor last game in October 31st, 2022. So I can see them actually going more linemen in this game. Why? Because they got to make sure that they are fresh to get down that chasey guy and a Justin Fields. Make sure they can find a way to get him down to the ground. They missed a lot of sacks in that last game, and it's because they lack speed on the edge. I think Drake Jackson helps that. I think Sampson is better. I think Charles Omenihu is better. These guys are going to be chased down. And here goes Martin's comment. Martin Stewart, Foghorn for you. Breezy, our Pit Bulls defensive line is going to eat Fields alive. He even mentioned the numbers: 97, 99, 91, 94, 95, DMX, getting boys. Let's talk. Wait a minute. Do I got the dog?
I don't know if they're playing. Breezy, I can't hear him, but I don't know if the rest of the guys can hear him.
Oh, they can't hear the sound effects? My apology.
So.
All right. So I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and fix that up. I thought the sound effects were playing, but we got some dogs out there. I want you to tap in on Martin's comment while I go ahead and get that addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the defensive line definitely wants to come out and dominate. Obviously, like I said earlier, mobile quarterbacks have always been the Achilles heel. It's interesting, just as you were saying, maybe they bring in more defensive linemen. Maybe they bring in a guy like Oren Burks as a spy, right? Because he's an athletic linebacker that they could just put in maybe as a spy and just keep him. Or, they bring in a Drake Jackson, or they keep Ebicom out there as a spy and bring in a Omenihu to rush. So there are multiple things that they could do. You are right. I mean, after reading, obviously you got to respect anybody that's in the NFL, all those wide receivers. They have game, obviously, to make a roster. But a lot of those guys have been backups at other places. None of them have been like, number one options anywhere else. So you would think based off of what the 49ers have versus those receivers, the cornerbacks should be able to handle that well. So maybe you're right. Maybe they put more into the defensive line, maybe add another linebacker, whatever the case may be, and focus on getting to Justin Fields more than covering, more than adding more guys to cover. So you could be absolutely correct.
I'm just thinking because when I look at their wide receiving packages, I mean, if they come out with 3 wide receiver sets, that's going to be speed out there. I feel like we have the packages to run dime, right? 3 wide receivers you want to run dime. 3 wide receivers you want to run nickel. 4 wide receivers you run dime. I don't think they have the 4 wide receiver set. So.
And they're a running team. Let's be honest. Montgomery is their
Khalil Herbert. Don't forget to mention him.
Right. So yeah, they're gonna be a run first team. So yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna see more linemen coming in and keeping fresh. And hey, it's going to be a good, like, this is a very, very good week 1 matchup for the 49ers, not just because, I think the 49ers are going to be heavily favored, but a lot of the things that the 49ers are weak at, these are the Bears' strength, right? The running game, mobile quarterbacks. Those are 2 things that the 49ers need to show that they're going to be able to overcome. And because last year, what were the 2 biggest issues in the beginning of the year, right? Mobile quarterbacks and especially that running game. So let's see if they could stop Montgomery, if they could stop Herbert, if they could make sure that they make it uncomfortable there for Fields and don't let him break containment. If you see these things, we already think the 49ers are going to win, but let's see how good this defense has evolved or how well it's evolved. And hopefully we get to see the start of a very dominant defensive year for the 49ers.
There it is, man. And there you have it, man. I think, Justin Fields, he's coming out here apparently he's going to be seeking revenge according to BearsWire.com. He's going to be seeking revenge. And the revenge is not going to just be because of the fact that the 49ers passed on him. They lost the last game. They lost 33-22. Justin Fields went out there and put out his, I would say his best effort. He was sacked 4 times, though, for 27 yards. He was sacked 4 times, bro, and we missed like 4 sacks. So it
Right.
technically would have been probably about 8 sacks. He only had 175 yards. He was more of a threat on the ground, and it was more because he escaped some of those sacks. Like, you get what I'm saying? Right. It's not like it was like dialed up Justin Fields run that I want you to be the running back. No, Khalil Herbert was the guy. David Montgomery didn't play. He was injured in that game. I do want to point that out. But look, you figure out, you take away Fields, you take away his weapons. If Fields runs 100 yards, man, I'm cool with it. As long as he's not beating you, you're good to go. Like,
Right.
As long as they're not putting up points, you're good to go. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there it is. Now, I want to switch gears because we have a few minutes left. Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. All right. So there was a Bleacher Report that came out earlier today, and it mentioned something about Jimmy Garoppolo, and it was about Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. All right. And did you get a chance to check it out? I'm just curious to know if you were able to check it out.
I don't know if I specifically read the report, but I've been seeing a lot of things. What was the Bleacher Report about? I may have, because people are extrapolating and throwing it up on the quotes and stuff like that. All
right. So here it goes. So it has something to do like about Trey Lance being a little annoyed about Jimmy Garoppolo's new contract. All right. So Albert Breer talked about, I'll read it to you. It says, per Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, Lance was a little annoyed in the immediate aftermath of Garoppolo signing a restructured deal to stay with the team. Now, this is after the fact. We've heard Trey talk. We've heard Jimmy talk. After hearing Jimmy talk, I knew that it was all bullshit stuff. Mm-hmm. I can't put the sound effects on. For some reason, people say they can't hear the sound effects. I have it hooked up properly, but it's not working. So we'll figure it out on a later show. But anyway, I knew it was bullcrap because Jimmy said that he never talked to Trey. Now, remember that they said that Jimmy talked to Trey talked to Jimmy. So Jimmy said that Colin John talked to Trey, right? Here we go. Back to the report. After the 49ers lost, blah, 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 to the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC Championship game in January, the expectation was Jimmy Garoppolo would be traded at some point during the offseason. He even gave a few farewell addresses to the 49ers fan base. They go on talk about that. Peter King talked about it. But I guess the main headline is the fact that Trey Lance was a little annoyed by the restructuring of Jimmy Garoppolo's contract. All right. Now I have that take, and I want to know what you feel like. I'm with you, Lake City. I'm with you. I clicked on that, and all it was a headline to get me to read about some bullcrap. All right, clickbait. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, like, who really knows? I could only go off of what I'm seeing. And immediately after Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy were put on the 53-man roster, the first person to IG it and put it on their story with the big old congratulations was Trey Lance. For me, I've never gotten the sense that Trey Lance is nothing other than authentic. And he, with no hesitation, whenever he's asked about Jimmy Garoppolo, he's glowing about him. He feels like this guy has helped him in his career. They have a good working relationship together. So and I'm like I said, we don't know all of these players behind the scenes, but from what I see from Trey Lance, he seems like a genuine, authentic guy. So if he's showing all of this love for Jimmy Garoppolo, to be all of a sudden now annoyed for whatever reason that he's on the team, that's basically you trying to tell me that Trey Lance is fake. I just don't see anything in him that shows anything fake. It's never been anything in his history where people are like, this guy is two-faced, this guy is, not a genuine person, whatever the case may be. Just following him on social media, I get no sense that this guy is like Hollywood or anything like that. Kind of like the normal things when it's usually like guys that are just, showing out for the gram or whatnot. He doesn't seem like that guy. So I'm going to just take Trey Lance at his word. He's saying that he's fine with Jimmy being there. He says that they're good. Jimmy's saying the same thing. Why would I need to sit here and think otherwise? There's no reason to.
I agree with you. I do believe from a human standpoint, he was a little annoyed. I would have been a little annoyed. Wouldn't you have been a little annoyed? Like, hey, you're moving on from this guy. It's your team. You're thinking everything going forward is going to be all about you. Next thing you know, is Jimmy's still here. I would be a little annoyed. I would be a little annoyed, but I'm with you. When I came out in front of the camera and said what I said, I meant what I said. So if Trey Lance said he's cool, then he's cool. Leave it alone. Let's not make it a story. But I would have been a little annoyed, right?
And that's why, Shanahan and Lynch said they had to have a conversation with him, right? Like, let him know, hey, you're still the guy. This is the only reason why we're doing this. But this is your team. And I think once he probably got that assurance, he was like, all right, cool. If this is still me, if I'm still QB1, and you're going to treat me QB1 like you treated Jimmy QB1 last season, we're good. And I think that's what they told him, and he believes them, and I think they'll be fine.
All right. Now, George Kittle, the all-pro 49ers tight end, best damn tight end in the NFL, was on the Richard Sherman podcast. Mm-hmm. Did you get a chance to check out the interview?
I've seen clips. I haven't seen the whole thing though yet.
All right. So there's only one particular portion that resonates in my spirit. And it has to do with Jimmy and Trey Lance, obviously. We're going to watch the clip, and then I want to get your thoughts. Guys, there's a poll question going on right now. All right. What do you think? What did I ask? What do you think is best for the 49ers? Is it best to have him on the roster, or is it best to trade him? All right. So I'm dying to know what you think. Right now, he's on the roster. Jimmy Garoppolo signed and restructured, a 1-year deal for $6.5 million, worth up to about $16 million to play for the 49ers this season as the backup. That's the role, as the backup. He has a no trade clause in his contract. All right. Which can potentially be waived at some point in the future if there's some trade that comes down and Jimmy wants to go to a different team. All right. So Jimmy has that in his contract. The question is up there. Don't forget to vote in the poll. Also, don't forget to hit that likes button. Please hit the thumbs up. All right. Now let's go ahead and watch this clip real quick. Hopefully this plays and everybody can hear it.
You sleep better at night as a team, just knowing that you're not one disaster away from the season being over. Every other team is one quarterback injury away from their season being like, wrap it up. It's not going to happen this year for you. That's anxiety that you guys don't have to deal with.
Isn't it crazy that no one really realizes that? You're just one thing away from just like, well, that was 6 months of working out in OTAs that I'm really glad I put into.
Right. Like, I put in all this work and one injury can send all that home.
Isn't football the best?
It is the best and the worst at the same time.
All right. The thing that resonated the most was that football is the best and the worst at the same time. Like that, right. like that's the thing that stood out to me the most. Jimmy Garoppolo is here. I got to get your take on this. I don't know if you were able to see this portion of the show. George Kittle, Richard Sherman, they have at it about both of these guys being on the roster. What are your thoughts?
Duh. Right? This is like what this is my whole thing. And I don't know if we've really talked about Jimmy ever after he got re-signed. I don't know if we've talked about it on your show, but the complaints about Jimmy Garoppolo where Jimmy Garoppolo isn't worth $25, $26, $27 million. But they were like, Jimmy Garoppolo is a $10 to $12 million quarterback. If he was only making $10, $12 million, you're fine with him being your starting quarterback. That has been the argument about Jimmy Garoppolo from, the most staunchest Jimmy Garoppolo haters. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo is $6.5 million right now. And he's humbled himself enough to be like, I'm the backup for this team. Absolutely. This is a big positive for the 49ers because God forbid anything happens to Trey. Do you feel more confident Jimmy Garoppolo jumping in or Brock Purdy? I mean, at the end of the day, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo win with this team. This is like the best of both worlds. This is what it's like, Wayne. It's like being able to be with the new hot younger girl, but your girlfriend, your old girlfriend is still like, yeah, but I'm still here just in case, it doesn't work out with that other one. Right. And that's who wouldn't want that situation. You know what I mean? Like it's
so that's the cake. Is that the cake, having your cake and eating it too situation?
Absolutely. Like you got two cakes.
I don't know if that works.
If this one cake doesn't work out, you got a whole nother cake that you enjoy and you can eat and it tastes good. And that's, wait a minute, bro. Cheaper.
Now wait. All right. Wait a minute. Having your cake and eating it too don't work in every situation, especially in relationships. It works for some people, but in normal relationships, that shit don't work. Like that's not healthy.
Wayne, it works when everything has been communicated and it's all honesty on the table.
But don't put the
situation is.
All right. You're putting in the stipulations.
I'm saying in this situation, Jimmy knows what his role is.
Correct.
Trey knows what his role is.
Correct.
They understand what it is. It's not like, and here's the reason why I think, Wayne, I got you. Here's the reason why I think that it works is because look, they gave Jimmy every opportunity to go out there and find another team for himself, and he couldn't. So this isn't Jimmy believing that he has all of these other options and he's doing the 49ers a favor. He had no other option. So when you're humbled to that point, that's the only reason why it's gonna work out. If it was the 49ers holding on to him, forcing him to be here, all that kind of stuff, that wasn't the case. They said, look, this is the only way you could be on this team. And he was like, yeah, I'd want to be on this team because there's no other position I'd rather be in right now. And so that is what it is.
That I agree with 100%. But don't take that shit for face value, because I'll do whatever it takes to get through the door. Right. But once I get through the door, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to shine, to blow the freak up, whatever it is. That's the American way. That's the hustler's mentality. Isn't am I wrong? Right.
It's not, but this isn't,
it's the same.
This isn't any given Sunday, bro.
Listen, it's the
Jimmy
same.
Ain't Willie beaming.
It's the same difference, bro. Jimmy had ran out of options. You just said it.
Right.
His only option, the best case scenario for him was to remain on this squad and do what he got to do. So he does it. He signs the deal. He accepts the role. Now, at some point, if you're human, like I'm human, and I'm watching this young kid supersede every expectation, and even though I accepted this role to be on this team, I'm going to start feeling some type of way, because I know I still have what it takes to compete, and I can't compete right here. I don't want to undermine my boy Trey. That's my guy. I said that's my guy. So I might start feeling some type of way toward the organization, and then there can be some type of riffraff. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that's going to happen, Sunil. I'm just saying there's a possibility, small, that can happen in this organization. Agree or disagree?
Kind of. But here's the thing, Wayne. If Jimmy doesn't have some type of feeling towards the 49ers after the way they've treated him his whole time as the starting quarterback for the 49ers, look, they've flirted every single offseason with another quarterback very publicly, right? He takes them to the Super Bowl in 2019, or he's the quarterback on that Super Bowl team. I don't want to say he took them there. 2020, all the news was they were going after Tom Brady. That didn't work out. Last year, they make it to the NFC champion, or the year before, right? They are trying to go after Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford. None of those worked out. So they traded up to get the number 3 pick to get your replacement. So if Jimmy should already feel some type of way about this organization. The fact that even after all of that, Wayne, he still cut his contract by $20 million, took a backup role, and is sitting there carrying the clipboard. I agree with you. He's feeling some type of way. He's done a really good job eating those feelings and still being a member of this team and not creating any drama. My question to you is, what makes you feel like now all of a sudden Jimmy's going to create drama when he's had a tumultuous relationship with the 49ers his whole tenure here and he hasn't created drama?
It's not about him deliberately like going out there being this dramatic type of person. It's about him even doing it from a silent point of view, right? We already know Jimmy doesn't like to speak. He's not going to get he better not get any press, like, unless he plays, like, right? And so because of that, that's going to create some type of drama, right? What is Jimmy doing? What is Jimmy saying? What does Jimmy think? What does Jimmy believe? Like, it's just going to happen, even though
it's going to happen in the media for sure.
But that's my point. And so, like, it's going to happen. Now, as far as Jimmy Garoppolo, I just don't know how a starting quarterback, unless, I just don't know how that mentality sets in. It doesn't fit Jimmy. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and be a drama queen, but I guarantee you his competitive nature, if he's competitive as I know he is, he's going to want to play football, bro. And if he wants to play football, he's going to have to do it elsewhere because Kyle Shanahan made it plain Jane. Now, you're right. I think the team did him dirty, and I think he did the team dirty. So I think they're equal. But here's where the team wins. Jimmy, you couldn't stay healthy, bro. I can't rely on you to do this one season. Then the next season you break a foot bone or something and you get a high tension strain or some junk like that, hyperextended ankle, whatever the injury was, couldn't play, right? Then you come back and then you don't look as good. And then you get us to the NFC Championship. So if I follow that trajectory, this is the injured season for Jimmy Garoppolo. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just following that trajectory. I think the 49ers need security at that position, so they went and traded up to get the guy. If Jimmy was healthy, I don't think they would have even possibly made that trade, even if they felt like he was limited. I think they would have just figured out another way, brought in some other guy, whatever. But they knew Jimmy is either healthy or he's not. And when he's not, they're bad. And when he is, they can win. So they go out and get another guy. So I don't know. It's something to look for. It's something to look into as the season goes along. I'm not saying Jimmy is that drama guy. I just think that if he's competitive, he's a competitive guy. He's going to go out there and compete every single practice, bro. Backup or not.
I think, one, that's great because Trey, it'll just make Trey's game better. But let's leave on a positive note, Wade, because I know you got a hard out here pretty soon. The last time Jimmy Garoppolo was the full-time backup quarterback for a team, they won the Super Bowl.
They did win the Super Bowl. That was the New England Patriots. They won the Super Bowl. He was backup quarterback to Tom Brady. So we can leave on that note. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm going to get to a couple of more contributions. All right. We got Gammon with a couple of contributions. So I just want to put these out there. Here you go, Gammon. Gammon says, can we talk about weeks 3-4 opponents, please? We'll do this really quickly. Bears, Hawks aren't worth time. He wants to talk about Bears and Broncos. We're missing a few starters and don't even have NFL starters. So let's talk about the Bears, the Broncos, the Bears, and the Rams. Those are our weeks 3-4 teams that we're playing. What are your thoughts on that? Missing some key pieces, especially on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Jimmy Ward is the only key piece that we're really missing, right? As far as starters. Hopefully by that, as far as on the defense, hopefully McGlinchey by that point is back. I don't know if he's going to be able to start week 1 or if they're going to sit him out the first 2 weeks and maybe week 3, week 4, he's back on the roster. Yeah, I mean, those are going to be the tests, but also hopefully the 49ers are riding 2 weeks of wins, confidence building, Trey's confidence building. It's not like it's not like the 49ers don't have enough weapons to compete with any roster out there, including with the Jimmy Ward injury, right? They still have enough offensive weapons. They still have really great running back room. They still have beasts all over the defense. So yeah, weeks 3 and 4 are going to be interesting matchups. Who is it? I think they got Denver week 4. Who's their week 3? Is it?
They got Denver week 3. The Rams week 4. Yeah, the
Rams,
Rams
week
week
4.
4.
Yeah, so Denver is going to be their first true test.
They're on the road.
They're on the road. They're playing in Mile High, which is is definite home field advantage.
And it's Russell Wilson, bro. Like that. That's it for me.
Yeah, he understands this team, but yeah, I think that's going to be the first test, and we get to see, like I said, weeks 4 through 6, right? Weeks 4 through 6 is where you really get to decide where your team's at. Week 3, we just want it to be competitive, right? We don't know if that's going to be a win. That's the first tough matchup that they have. But if they're competitive, if they get a victory there, now you know you're working with something. Obviously, going to the Rams, that's the former Super Bowl champs or the reigning Super Bowl champs. So that's going to be a good 2-week stretch that we get to see what this team was about.
All right. And our last contribution for the show, our brother John V. I don't know if my sound effects are working. I'll play them anyway. We have Steve Young out there stirring the pot on KNBR, creating more conflict around the situation in our locker room. Steve talks too much. I know we're trying to end on a positive note. I didn't get a chance to hear Steve Young's comments or read anything about him. I had weddings all weekend. Did he
basically was talking about that this is a real awkward situation for Jimmy, and I'm paraphrasing. It's just a very tough situation for Jimmy Garoppolo because of what we mentioned, right? He thought that could be a starter elsewhere in the league. No other team really went after him like that. Mm-hmm. So this is just like a real humbling experience for Jimmy. I think that's the gist of what Steve Young said. I disagree with who put it up. I don't think Steve talks too much. I just think Steve's the most honest former player that the 49ers have. He's been one of the staunch supporters of Trey, but tempered, right? He's not just out here being like Trey's going to be the greatest, but he's saying like, this is what you need to do. He has this, and he's kind of adding, when guys like Montana and Brett Favre are coming out and kind of not trashing, but like definitely, putting Trey down to elevate Jimmy. Steve Young has been the guy in Trey's corner. He's actually going out and mentoring him and things of that nature. So I think Steve Young is in the NFL media. He's asked these questions and he says what his truth is. And that's why I respect what Steve Young says. I think he's your favorite player. He's definitely my favorite 49er of all time.
My favorite is Jerry Rice, but he's definitely in my top echelon. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Young's the reason why
I take him over Joe Montana, and I know people are going to be like, oh my God. Right.
Yeah, but I think both of us didn't really get to see Joe Montana like that. We got to see Steve Young, and Steve Young was elite. And so he's the reason why I'm a 49er fan. So I don't think he talks too much. I don't think anything he says is going to stir up drama in the 49ers locker room. I personally think he's the most tapped into the 49ers locker room. Minus maybe, I think Sherm too. I think Richard Sherman is another asset now in the media that's tapped into the 49ers locker room.
Super tapped in. Like, I wish he coached for the 49ers. Leave the media and come back, coach. Play safety too. Sherm, we need a safety, bro. Would you inquire playing safety for the 49ers? All right, before we leave the show, I got to get, man, who is your X factor on offense and defense from the Bears perspective? Like and I don't like calling them fans. This is family. So leave the family with 2 people you think that they should look out for from the offensive and defensive side of the opposing team.
So offense is easy. It's definitely Justin Fields or bust, right? They're only going to be as good as Justin Fields because really around him, there's not much else, right? Defense, I don't know if I have a player, Wayne, but I do have what the defense needs to do. And that is, if this defense could stop the run, then the 49ers are going to be, that's what I think is the worst case scenario for the 49ers is they can't run the ball on this Bears defense. So whomever is that, whether it's the defensive line, the linebackers, a combination of both, if they're able to stop Elijah Mitchell from being able to be, if they hold him under, let's say 80 yards for the day, I think that that's going to be, now it's all on Trey Lance. And I don't know if we want that week 1 necessarily. Right. So that's what I tell the faithful to look out for. Can we stop Justin Fields when he breaks containment? And can we run the ball against this defense? Those are the 2 things that I'm looking for.
So you think their defense has good run stop?
I don't know. I'm saying that's what they're going to be focused on. That's like, I mean, they have, right? They have a great linebacker, Roquan. So
Yeah, he's not a run stopping linebacker though. He's more
not.
of a passing guy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if they could stop the run, now guys like Roquan could get into their bag, right? So the 49ers definitely need to be able to run on this defense. Do I think that they can? Absolutely. But that's the only way I think this defense is able to contend against the 49ers, if they can stop the run. If they can't, then it's game over.
All right. Listen, Sunil, let everybody know where they can go ahead and follow you on your channel, your show, things like that. And thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely. Appreciate you always inviting me on. So my tag right there, So Real Sunil, is actually all my socials. So you could get me on Twitter there. And then my YouTube is YouTube.com/So Real Sports Talk TV. So if you go to my Twitter, there's a link that'll take you there. If you can, go subscribe. I know we're a week away. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers before the season started. Like 60 some away from getting that. So if you guys could be so kind, go subscribe, help me hit my goal, and we'll definitely be very active there throughout the season.
All right, there it is, y'all. I'm gonna post the link right there of his show, so that way you guys can go ahead and subscribe it. I'll put it in the chat. So Real, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Always, Breezy.
Peace out, man. All right, guys, there you have it, man. Listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the WayneBreezie Show. I'm trying this new format, new camera, new thing, new sound system. Apparently, it's not working, so I'm going to go ahead and get that fixed. Hopefully, by the next episode. Tune in tonight. Nitty Gritty Niners Talk is going to be on at a different time. It's going to be around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So those out there on the West Coast, go grab your dinner. You're not going to want to miss the crew tonight. All right, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nitty Gritty Niners Talk right here. We're going to introduce to you guys the mentality for the 2022 season. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I love y'all. Stay up, stay faithful, always keep it nitty gritty, and thanks for watching, guys.